Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new podcast, Firespitting with BS01. With me today are
Dorek,
KCN02,
Spirit,
and myself. I am Swert. And today we are introducing more or less a brand new concept for a podcast. We've had topics in the past where we've talked about Bionicle, and we're like, oh, you know, Bionicle is great. We love this. We have nostalgic glasses on. We're throwing those away. Because it has been 10 years since the end of Bionicle. And we're ready to just really start getting down and roasting it. How about everybody else? You guys ready to roast it?
I mean, you already just roasted G2 right there, so yeah, we
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's been 5 years since that dumpster fire.
Oh,
Except for the sets. I absolutely love the sets.
I'll defend the story, but that is a topic for another podcast.
That's a topic for another podcast we can always do later. Because today's topic is instead a subject that was brought up near the end of Bionicle's end, I guess.
Technically after.
Technically after, yes. Well, yes and no. It was introduced in the story serials before Greg stopped caring. Well, I shouldn't say that. He always cared. It's after he was told to stop caring.
Yeah, that is also a topic for another podcast. But yeah, it was after the serials were officially done and they left some certain cliffhangers, primarily being the identity of this great being who was secretly out to murder everybody. And it turns out that he was somebody that we knew. Now, there was a contest. That contest never finished. But eventually, Erebus, our wonderful Erebus, who is not here with us, was able to contact Greg and got the answer. And that answer was Velika.
Now, we've let this sit for 10 years now. 9 years? Something like that.
About, 8 or 9 years.
But even at that moment, I know you already said this was a bad idea.
I mean, it's not bad. There were better choices.
it's not bad, but it's also not good.
Yeah.
So, I guess we can go over them. I think each of us have an idea of who it should be or could be, or maybe we have similar ideas together. But we'll start with, I know Dorek's really excited about the first one.
Well, I mean, I've had a few ideas, but the one I always really wanted it to be was Kapora, our favorite Tomatoran, Jala accepted, nobody cares about him. The fact that he has this super mysterious power kind of speaks enigmatically and just would have been so much better choice than the very obvious riddle talker Velika.
Yeah. And more to the point, it would explain the powers, it would explain, the wisdom.
Yeah.
The wisdom is so ingrained with Kapura, whoever you want to pronounce his name.
Yeah,
Well,
Kapora's how I
What
say it.
also gets me is that, like Greg said, oh, well, it couldn't be Kapura because he had his memory wiped. And I'm like, well, hasn't everyone had their memory wiped at least once?
Yeah, I was about to say, did he forget the 6-month time slip too?
Well, there's that. And plus, like, going to Karzani, going to Voyanui, wasn't there some memory wiping after that?
Well, so there was the body modification. I think it was said that they lost their memories, but I think it was kind of implied that was, sort of mass trauma, essentially, that erased that from their memory.
Almost a PTSD sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah.
Where they're having to isolate their memory just so they don't have any issues. That could
But
be
also,
the case.
as an excuse, that's just kind of lame, right? Velika's a great being, and now he's Velika. But it was a great being. Surely it could partition off its memory or just be immune to the mind wiping. What kind of reasoning is that?
Right.
And also, why did it put up with that? Like, just don't. Oh no, I'm broken. Yeah. Hang on.
Oh no, my foot broke or whatever.
System. Let me just repair myself.
Right. It's like, I actually
hang on.
built you guys in the first place. I mean...
Yeah, they're supposed to be these master crafters.
I think what also irritated me is just... It was a little too obvious with Velika. With the whole master riddles and all that stuff. But that's what makes Kapura also really a good candidate, because he was also speaking kind of in riddles.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, so how much of that was his actual personality? Obviously, we'll never find this out, but how much of that was his personality versus like an act he was putting on? Because, like, you know, Kapora, I could understand, you know, he's sort of not necessarily speaking in riddles, but he appears wise beyond his age, which he technically would have been. But Velika was very much obtuse and decided to speak in riddles in the same way that Nuju decided only to speak in bird language.
Yeah.
So why, was that all an act essentially? Did he, just spontaneously decide to start speaking in riddles, or as a great being, did he also have that habit? Which, if so, ugh.
Maybe that's why they put him into the Velika body.
Oh, I see. All right. He was like, this will be the cool kid thing to do. Everybody will do it, and then nobody joined him.
More like maybe he annoyed his other great beings, and they decided to get rid of him because he was always talking riddles. So yeah, just send him off. We don't want to listen to your riddles. Just go bother someone else with that.
Right. Oh, that's a very good thought. All right.
I like this.
Kapura is just Kapura is such a great choice, and I mean, there's other ones that I've had a thought about. What about Kopik or Kopeki, or however you want to pronounce his name? I go with Kopik.
Kopak?
Kopak.
I think it's supposed to
Kopik.
be like I don't know. Isn't there a currency in Kopak? Did I make that up?
Oh, yeah. Who has the Kopeks?
Kopik is what the encyclopedia says. Doesn't sound right. Kopik.
Wait, no, that's not right.
I've always gone with Kopeki. Kopeki, yeah.
Well, that's what I say in my mind, but I mean, it's like how you say Wednesday. It's
Yeah,
it's true.
The official pronunciation is Kopik.
Yeah, Kopik.
Huh.
Anyway, he's also a really interesting candidate because he just doesn't talk, and when he does, it's like other people are talking for him.
Or not translate, but yeah.
I mean, one of the quotes that we've got from Kopik in the first place is, and I quote, "Wisdom is ever the burden of the Turaga. I do not expect it from you."
Ooh,
wow.
Roasted.
Oh, sick.
That's deep.
Are you? Yeah. Think about that for a second. I mean, he's talking to Takua at that point.
All right, now I just realized that we totally need a sound effect of Michael Scott going, boom, roasted. Sorry. Anyway, continue.
We might be able to throw the GIF on. But yeah, I think Kopik is a really interesting candidate because he doesn't do anything. He just sits there and listens.
He carved an ice key that one time.
Okay, my point is he doesn't really talk. He is a listener. Now, my interpretation of the great beings have always been they're not really much to talk. They're one to, observe, to examine. And I think Kopik matches that perfectly.
Well, I mean, I'd be curious to know the motivation, right? Because obviously after, these many hundreds of thousands of years, he is pretty pissed off and, wants to murder everybody, which is fine, I guess.
Me too.
I don't blame him.
Saying?
Exactly. I don't
what's that saying? Beware the quiet ones.
Right, but so did he, was he silent this whole time? And is it, when did this murderous rage start? Would it not have started around the time of the Matanui online game? So I guess maybe in that sense, some of the Matanui Matoran don't make as much sense because they were all pretty positive and helpful.
Or were they?
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, but I believe Kopik would have been a very interesting choice. I do agree Kapura's still probably the best choice if you were to do somebody new. But I'm going to throw another curveball out there. This is just an interesting one that came to me just now thinking about it. Hang on. I was just on the page.
Well, and another reason I wanted it to be Kapura is because I once had a theory that Kapura was secretly an Avmatoran who had kind of somehow forcibly tapped into his power that he could normally only get when connected with a Toa, and that was shot down, and that made me sad. So.
Yes. Here we go. Akmo.
Oh.
I mean, it was...
Oh, is that how you say the name? Oh, this is also turning into a podcast. No, Akmu.
No, Akmo.
Akmo.
Mo.
Akmu. Yeah.
Akmu.
ACK-MOO. Akmu.
Yeah.
Akmu.
Wait, no. No, I don't like that. I really don't like that.
It's not
you don't like it?
OU doesn't make an O sound.
I don't care.
Ooh. Like a cow.
Don't care.
All right. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on him, though? He certainly does fit the requirement. He did not lose his memory.
I guess, but
he remembered all of Metro Nui.
But then why would he like?
But he only remembered all of Metro Nui because Pterodax got him from the pod in the first place.
That's true, but
and he had lost like enough memory, right, to kind of be able to be influenced. Or I might be bring that at this point.
I mean, don't forget he was also told by Turaga Duma, who he thought was Turaga Duma, that the Toa were all criminals anyway. So he's just following the orders of his Turaga.
Right, but why would he be like this very gullible person if he was actually like the creator of everyone?
Well, I mean, in that case, I guess he would be, secretly just going along with it just because, he also harbors this anger and this resentment, and then Pterodax comes along and it's basically serendipity, right? He's like, oh, hey, this guy's telling me everything's awful. I agree with him, but I'm not going to let him know that it was my
idea. What's the saying? Keep your friends close and your enemies closer?
Sure, exactly.
Sure. And more to the point, don't forget, he also drew the attention of the Dark Hunters to Diki and Kreka. Or at least one of the 6 that did.
Mm-hmm.
Since he had found the great disc.
I'm disappointed they didn't do more with his character. Like, make a Shadow Toa Akmu. None of this giant Takanuva nonsense. Nobody wants that.
They apparently did want... I mean, they officially appointed him Turaga Metro Nui during Pterodax's reign.
Yeah, they were originally, I think, going to make some Shadow Toa sets, right? I mean, they were definitely going to make a Shadow Toa Akmu. But, like, I guess that got scrapped for Takanuva then.
Right. Yeah, and like, I mean, the other sets they released in 2008, like, did we really need Mazika, and what's his face?
You shut up about Mazeka, because that set was the greatest thing ever. It was a turret. It was a spinning turret.
But why not make it a pre-existing character?
Sure. Yeah, no. They could.
I mean, I'm okay with making a pre-existing character, but, I mean, Voltras.
Well, make him a pre-existing character. I don't know. We just... They
also, I'm not saying Voltras should have been the
copyrighted name, and they never reused the name.
Could you imagine how broken that would be if Voltras was the Great Being, and they just left him in the melding universe?
That's good. No, yeah, I know. They should have, in the end, like, made one of those made some of those spare sets, the limited edition ones, other characters, but that's how it goes.
It says here in the trivia for Akmu, the Bionicle story team idly considered transforming Akmu into a Toa Shadow to play a large story role in 2008. Although this plan did not come to fruition, Icarax did travel to Metro Nui to drain Akmu's light. However, when the Makuta arrived, he seized the opportunity to attack Takanuva rather than Akmu.
Okay, idly? Ugh, I gotta fix some things.
Yeah, please fix things. Yeah, I'm interested to know that Icarax did try to go over there to drain his light. Like, okay, you're going to be a Shadow Motor now. Have fun. But it said, no, I'm going to attack Takanuva because that's a better target.
I mean, it makes sense.
It does make sense.
Huh. Actually, on the topic of Voltras and with him being stuck in the other universe, what if the Makuta the White, was the Great Being? The secret Great Being? I know it probably doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah, the melding universe Pterodax?
Okay,
that would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Hiding in plain sight would be an interesting way to do things.
Well, and that would actually make more sense because, like, he came from a universe that already exploded, and now he comes, but that they basically fixed essentially, and now they come into this universe where everything is totally broken. That would make him, mad enough to want to fix things himself,
right?
And he definitely has the ability to, like, kill off Karzani himself.
Yeah.
This is very true.
Yeah, why is it a Matoran? Why? Like, I get it, like, you don't see him coming, but...
that's a good point. Maybe it shouldn't be a Matoran. What if it was, like, I don't know, a Vortex, or, like, what is it? The Skakdi, I think that's how he pronounces the Paraka species.
Yeah,
well, I guess the question is, like, what's the point of putting yourself into one of these artificial bodies? Like, is it to just observe? In which case, Matoran is probably the best thing you can be. Although, counterpoint, you should probably be an Avmatoran because you can just disguise yourself as any type of Matoran.
Right.
Yes, that while very true.
His point was, I think the original point was to basically be a passive observer in the whole thing. But given how weak they made the Matoran, I don't know, were they considering that? Like, aren't some Matoran like slaves on Vortex or whatever? So,
right.
I don't know.
I'm trying to see. Let's see here. It says here the Great Being was curious about the robot's inner workings and how Matanui would perform his task. Where he announced to the other Great Beings he would be going into exile to remove suspicions, and then transferred his consciousness into the body of a Pomatoran, leaving his body somewhere in suspended animation. So he literally tiny ricked himself. Nice. He began using the Pomatoran name Velika as a pseudonym and did not use his true name in the Matoran universe because some of the earlier creations of Great Beings might have known their names and wanted his presence to remain a secret. Well, that makes sense. He then began to observe the workings of the universe.
I guess it does. Sorry to cut you off. This is another thing that really bugs me in the storyline. A lot.
You say it grinds your gears?
Oh, it grinds my gears so much. It's when a character has a real name, but it's a secret, and we will literally never know. And it would have been so much easier just to leave it as, okay, this name that you know them as, that's their name. He's just Velika. When he was a Great Being, he was Velika. As a Matoran, he keeps the same name. Simple. But no.
Right. Also, I love the accusation of, well, there's some people that might know of the Great Beings' names. So what?
Yeah,
Don't go near them.
When are you ever going to run into those people? I thought your whole point was to like stay far away from the stuff that you know works and see how the things you don't know work.
I mean, Velika could have introduced social distancing into the... Okay, we're not going there.
Happy quarantine, everybody.
Yes, totally not starting this podcast because of that. Totally.
But like with other names too, just to go back to what I was saying, of like Kitongu, is that his name or his species? It's one of them where like just make him. No, yeah, his name is Kitongu, right?
Yeah, that's his proper name. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like the species goes unnamed. Just call them all Kitongu for goodness sake. Or like Glitorian. Yeah. Their species is not called Glitorian.
Oh, that's the one that bugs me so much.
But just make them Glitorian. Just do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing, I don't think they were thinking too far ahead with Glitorian, but like if you think about it, like Toa technically is not a species name. Like, you know, the people who betray everybody, like Nadiki stopped being a Toa, not because he became a monster, but just because he betrayed everybody to the Dark Hunters. So
yeah, that's like there's like Jedi rules. It's like, oh well, you're a Jedi. Well, you're not a Jedi. You're a dark Jedi, and you're a Sith. And like, oh my gosh, pick a name.
Yeah, you can use the Force. You're a Jedi. I don't care.
Yeah, you know, I would have been interested to see what the Toa name or Toa species name would have been. Like, Toa should have just been a title, and that would have been interesting. Because then you would have had the possibility of, like, Toa Rudaka. That would have been hilarious.
Wouldn't their species be Matoran?
You know...
I guess.
I mean, is Turaga going to be, at that point, a status as well? I think that would have to be how it's done.
Is Turaga a word as well? Does that mean anything? Or
isn't that what it means?
Yeah, they're just a village elder.
Doesn't it mean that in Maori? And that was for some reason the one name they were like allowed to keep.
Yikes!
Let's look this up.
And other things such as the names of various characters like Tahu and all them. I believe all of them were actually Maori words.
Yeah,
not everything, but a lot were. Yeah.
Some may have been inspired by.
Turaga translates to Turaga. Press
doubt.
10 out of translation.
Anyway, what's interesting is, you know, Velika decided the best place to study everything is to go to Voyanui. Actually, well, no. I guess he started where? In the southern continent?
Eventually he was... originally.
Do we know that?
He was sent to Karzani, and then Karzani shipped him off to the southern continent. So we don't know where he originally started out.
Oh, good point.
Right, that is true. Maybe he was fluctuating. I mean, here's the question. Did the Matoran actually migrate too much? I mean, we know the Matoran of Metro Nui stayed there because their operations were important up there.
Well, but I mean, there's only so many islands, right? Like, he couldn't have...
The question is, I mean, Voyanui sent, that's where they sent all of the quote-unquote fixed Matoran.
Right.
They sent them all to Voyanui in the southern continent.
Yeah,
And
but I
we
mean,
know that
isn't the whole reason that Karzani did that because, like, nobody would ever find them there because they didn't think anybody really lived there and it was kind of a crummy place to live?
Yeah, or they stuck around in Karzani.
Hmm.
Yes, Karzani in Karzani, and there's going to be so much to talk about in this podcast. Oh, we should just dedicate an entire episode to Karzani.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know where Velika originally came from, but he got injured somehow, which, yeah, again, why do you let yourself get injured? How can you not fix yourself? Like, come on, man.
Well, yeah, because like, isn't he like an inventor? Like, didn't he invent?
Yeah, he is indeed their inventor.
He's like using his forbidden knowledge and like violating the prime directive of Bionicle. And
well, we have to ask:
prime directive.
Is he actually? No, he apparently stole the Zamor launcher from Avok, and that's where they learned how to make it. So that's where they discovered how to build it.
No, but he was already supposed to be a crafter. His whole tools are power carvers or whatever.
yeah,
This
he's
is
an
true.
engineer. He made stuff, I think. Hang on, let me.
But the point is,
this article.
he's probably doing the same thing that, just to throw a Stargate SG-1 reference out there, Anubis had all the knowledge of everything, but he was not permitted to use any of it unless he was able to get it among the mortals, if that makes sense.
But who's going to police that?
I mean,
I would
this is
whistle
true.
to indicate that reference going over my head, but I can't whistle.
It's fine.
Imagine it.
I mean, I just wanted to point that out. Basically, the idea is somebody would be policing him to force him to not use any of the forbidden knowledge. But you're right. Who is there to stop him?
Sure, nobody's going to tell him, no, you can't do that because it's secretly in disguise.
Plus, I'm pretty sure if the Great Beings were indeed looking around and looking at everything, I'm pretty sure they would have fixed this mistake maybe about, 10,000 years before it even became a problem.
Was he responsible for them gaining sapience? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
There was some debate about that. Was that ever officially decreed as yes?
I thought it just happened naturally without them planning it.
It says here, soon after Matanui's launch, Velika caused the nanotechnology's inhabitants to develop a sophisticated culture of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Or develop into a sophisticated culture.
I feel like he's got nobody to blame but himself for all the things that happened.
Yeah, I was about to say. Well, I mean, the Makuta itself already had sentience to begin with. We know this because they were created completely different.
Yeah, and there's something that will never ever be explained.
Indeed. Whereas
what was the Makuta juice? What? How does it work?
We'll never know.
How do they work?
It just works.
I don't know. There was one other culprit I thought might have been better than Velika. Something if we're going to go with the fact that Velika was somehow able to be injured and then shipped off to Karzani and then away again, like would not the crazy Avmatoran who stayed in Karzani have been a slightly better choice then? The guy who built the canisters.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, the Matoran who built the canisters.
In the wiki as builder of the Toa canisters.
Yeah, do we still have that page?
Yep.
I think we do.
Oh, yes.
The builder of the Toa canisters is an insane Avmatoran.
Oh, I love that. It's one of my favorite pages.
I guess, and maybe that would explain like why he wasn't using his technology and knowledge if he went insane from Tren Krom. Although, why would the Great Beings build something that drives them insane? I don't know. I mean, when you have something that can create a Lovecraftian monster, are they immune to it?
Tren Krom himself is a subject for yet another podcast.
Oh, we're going to have fun with that one. But no, I should also point out, I mean, we've seen Great Beings go completely insane. Look at the cursed one that touched the Ignika the first time.
That's
and the
true.
Ignika's like, oh, hey, I love you. You've touched me. I will give you my gift. And now everything's alive around him. He totally went insane.
Yeah, why is there no antidote for that?
I'm pretty sure
stupid.
the Ignika's kind of regretting it, but at the same time, it doesn't know any better. It's just a mask.
Right, but like, if the Great Beings made that technology that can turn anything into life, how do they not also have some crazy magic to just turn it off?
You know, that's another interesting point. I mean, it's only supposed to be able to affect organic beings. So
This is where we'll put up a clip of Ian Malcolm going, "Life
finds a way."
finds a way."
let's not go down that rat hole. But the point is, I do think it would have been interesting to see the builder of the Toa canisters have a more prominent role.
Yeah, well, I guess like his purpose is, and this is one of those very few moments where a foreshadowing pays off. And you know what? I'm going to hold on to that and be really happy about that because it foreshadows Tren and Crom. It foreshadows the whole arc, the ignition arc. That actually pays off. Unlike 90%
Does
of
it
everything
though?
else.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
well, no,
but-
no. Like he built the canister, so it definitely pays off. In 2008, it was a great setup for that. But like, I thought the fact that he met with Tren Crom, I thought that was kind of like an after the fact thing where Greg invented Tren Crom, and then he's like, oh, maybe that's how that guy went insane. Okay.
Maybe.
Also, I have
Okay,
to
I take
wonder.
that part back, but I do.
No. The whole like actual canisters thing, like the Toamata being the original 6 Toa in the canisters, that part is great. Love that.
But like also where he's talking about like you put on the mask and it's this bright light and you die, like that actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's subtle enough, like it's one of those rare instances of foreshadowing that actually comes true.
Yeah. Well, and Greg did a good job of writing that where I mean, maybe it's just to do with all the ellipses because I'm looking at all this quote, but like, you kind of skim past because you're like, oh yeah, this guy's crazy. All right, move along, when that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So it was very well guided.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. I have to wonder. I mean, they already knew what Tren Crom was all about. Why did they send the Matoran? Just anybody to go talk to him? And why didn't they just have blindfolds on? Like, they should have known from the beginning. By the way, if you look at Tren Crom, you're going to go insane. Just warning.
Well, maybe they didn't know. Maybe because like they could probably look at him just fine.
Do we know if they can or not?
I don't know.
But why would they make something that makes them go insane? I mean, why would they make 90% of what they made in Bionicle? But that seems like an unnecessary occupational hazard to make something that if you look at it, you go insane. When all you need is something to just keep the power on.
Well, I guess, yeah, the Great Beings are just crazy. They like to build. They don't really like to think about the consequences. I mean, look how this whole series, this whole series started.
I guess.
Right.
Just seems very inefficient.
I guess, no, nothing ever suggests. No, it was just the canister builder who was the one that approached him, and nobody showed anything otherwise. No. Maybe the Great Beings knew, but they could withstand it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's just like it was just going to be too awkward. Like they need someone else to deliver the pink slip of like, sorry, man, we don't actually need you anymore. Like, hey, can you just go tell him it's going to be too awkward. We were friends.
Yeah.
He got me a Christmas card last year. I can't do it.
Like he helped me put a loan on my car. I can't do it.
Okay, so hang on. Now that I think about this, though, so this Matoran goes to tell Tren Crom that he's fired. Are the Matorans sapient at this point?
I have to imagine they are because, well, when did the awakening happen? Is the question.
It sounds like that happened after takeoff, like after everything was all done and everybody left. The giant robot takes off.
Well, no, but it wasn't, right? Because it
had to be soon after the. So.
No, but it couldn't have been because the Evoca. Remember when the Toamata are still fighting off the things in Carta Nui. Carta Nui hasn't started yet, so therefore Mata Nui hasn't awakened and taken off. So that's still going on during construction.
Okay, it does say here that the Matoran workers were not designed to be fully sapient. They're operating on highly sophisticated artificial intelligence, clever enough to contend with unexpected complications, but simple enough that they could not really be considered true beings. Okay.
What's the difference?
Basically, they're a step down from actual intelligence. They are essentially, a lot stronger than our digital assistants these days, but...
That is some eugenics stuff right there. I don't know. That's making it...
And eventually, though, Velika had transferred his consciousness into a Matoran body, sometime into the robot's journey, it caused a gradual elevation. I am dyslexic today. Elevation of the minds of all current and future Matoran universe inhabitants to a level of true sapience.
Right. So that means every single time we have encountered somebody that happened before that, because like I said, we see the Taumata training with Hydraxon, going to Cardanui to stop the Evoca so the Admatoran can get back to work, meeting Taku and all that. So that whole time, they're not these quote unquote real beings.
You know what? I have to wonder, is that why they felt it was safe to send the Builder? Could it be that at that point, they figured, he's not going to go insane.
He's just some robot.
He's just a robot.
Yeah?
What if it's because they didn't have sapience?
Why
and they're like, it's fine.
Why did he carry over past him?
Maybe it's almost affecting him like a mind virus.
Should we even be talking about a virus at this time?
I think we're well past that point.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Please don't demonetize us. I can't think of anything else we could discuss as far as who else it could be. Is there any other contenders?
I mean, it could be literally anybody. I don't know. I just thought Valika was
I got some.
crappy
Right,
choice.
here's some great contenders.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
All right.
So how about this for a plot twist? The hidden great being is Nuparu.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, no, when you mentioned Valika being an that came to mind, obviously, because of Nuparu's famous quote. But yeah, no, that would have been good.
Because like he created the Vaki, so like he can already create artificial intelligence.
This is true. And at that point, he also did. He at least figured out how to turn the Boxor or build the Boxor. Which, if he was the great being, wow, talk about dark.
Yeah,
because he would have known the true nature of them. Oh
Okay,
man,
so that's one of them.
That's a big name.
How about just going through the list of Matoran here? How about Hafu? 'Cause I feel like a lot of the great beings have this huge god complex of like,
vanity
whatever.
is a huge thing.
Let's create these creatures that fire energy discs that mutate anything permanently. What could go wrong? Very Hafu thing to do, I think.
That's
Everything
very true.
is a Hafu original. Ooh.
This is very true.
Yeah. No, that's a possibility, I'd say.
And he does have a forbidden Ruru.
Like I like that at least it was a character that had a set though. Like it could have been a very obscure person.
That's true. Could have been what's his face? Mavra the archivist who I guess actually died. Don't they find him on the Red Star again? But the one who died trying to escape or who got thrown to the ancient Rahi.
Yes.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like ancient Rahi, I mean, this was probably very off topic, but like, how can they be ancient Rahi if the Makuta made all the Rahi and Taku is the oldest thing that's in existence? Like, none of this adds up. It's like they were just making this up as they went.
Are we talking about Mavra?
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a good name.
How I mean, Spirit brings up a good point. Like, how did these ancient Rahi come about? Like, the timeline.
Ancient?
Well,
like
we already know because the Makuta created them. I mean, could these Rahi have just been obsolete?
Well, remember one thing: they're not all Rahi were created by the Makuta. There were the crystal serpents made by Arkata. So who knows? Maybe these Rahi weren't created by Makuta. They were created by a great being, even possibly.
Ooh. That would have been an interesting twist. What if Mavra did create him as if he were the great being? That would have been a good twist.
Yeah,
what are the digging ones?
The blade burrows?
They dig the three virtues.
The three virtues, the blade burrowers.
The blade burrows,
there you go.
Yeah.
So who's responsible for that? Created by Mutran. The great being.
But someone tampered with them.
Okay.
Yeah, because Mutran later noticed.
Confirmed?
Mutran created them, but he noted that someone that was tampering with them. That's why they were creating the three virtues symbol. So
blade burrower.
No, it doesn't say.
Says here
the
map
beings tampered with them.
The map that blade burrowers were programmed to create was the symbol that represents the three virtues, which was meant to remind Matanuya.
Which, how does he know that what's going on?
He's too busy just like Great, I have a stomach ache. As literally there's just fighting going on in the southern continent or something.
Well, I don't know. Was Matanui supposed to be this like omnipotent god figure, or were these things supposed to be just like little cells in his body?
When Makuta took over the Matoran universe, I mean, he had the capability of recognizing where things were happening, but he had to consciously go to them to find them. He couldn't he didn't sense it in that. I mean, I'm sure Matanui had the ability to, sense all this all at once and process it. Makuta did not have that ability, at least not that we know of.
Yeah, well, it's probably
you
one of
have
those
to be
things that you gotta get
consciously
used to
aware of it.
Hey, wait, were we talking about like who was tampering with the blade burrows? I just want to make sure
Yeah.
we.
It says here. I mean,
It just says the great beings. It doesn't.
the
say
great
anything.
beings tamper with the blade burrs.
Right. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Apparently, Kalma also commissioned the blade burrowers, among other Rahi, to be sent to his fortress.
Nice.
Mutran had programmed the blade burrowers he sent to die after a span of 3 days. Oof. Well, Mutran is absolutely the dick of this whole entire universe.
Well, I mean, those blade burrows can be pretty dangerous. They have sharp claws, and for the safety of everyone else, you don't want them running around for too long.
It's very true. We're also thinking about this wrong. What if it was actually, instead of just a regular Matoran, what if it was an older Toa who had been converted, such as maybe Pooks?
Tuyet? Oh.
For example, Pooks.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Justice for Pooks.
Or, I mean, Koalas is also another big name that we could use. A Toa Haga would have been an interesting choice. Because they would have been seeing some really serious what.
Well, and it would have been good too, because they all came from different places, right? So, their origins are a little bit more mysterious.
And I guess it would be interesting. In a unique position to spy on Makuta, although, counter argument, they do end up wasting an awful lot of time on the Visorak.
Very true. This is very true.
Of like, oh, well, let's look after these Rahi, even though they would have seen that the Rahi are just made from nothing, like they're nothing life forms. Why don't just tell people the Visorak are coming, the Makuta are behind it, they know all this, why did they waste their time?
Well, going back to our earlier theory of the great being being kind of a nerd that nobody likes, maybe he's just really happy to have friends around, and then he's like, oh, guys, what about? They're like, no, we're doing this. He's like, okay.
You know what? No, I figured it out. Spirit, you have given me an idea. What if it's Dweller?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what Dweller's entire job is.
It's just to watch. Yeah. Or what about that very important character, Air Watcher?
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see it be a Dark Hunter because they do travel quite a bit, and he could easily, obviously not Dweller. He stays in Metro Nui, but that's kind of where you wouldn't want to be. That's literally, well, at least figuratively speaking, the heart of the entire Matoran universe. Obviously, Carta Nui is the heart, but Metro Nui is effectively the most important location, arguably.
Literally the brain.
Exactly. So, and he's already, obviously able to hide very effectively in that literally nobody knows he's there, except for the Dark Hunters. And even then, I think it's just the Shadow one, to be honest.
But what was like the purpose? What were the purpose of the original Dark Hunters? Like before they were Dark Hunters, what were they? What were those guys all supposed to be doing? Yeah,
just random bunch of random bounty hunters that decide to band together and form their own.
But like
these guys,
they never explain. It's like what were they doing? Like what is their purpose for the functioning of the Matanui robot? And what really complicates things is that Matanui can just like create things. Like he created the Baraki to do something, I guess, instill order. But like, I don't know. There's like Matoran all over the place, and they do something.
Which I mean, I guess is like a
things without names.
Decent argument for the. Well, I think it's a decent argument for this, sapience awakening thing. Like, they were originally just programmed to do what they were supposed to do, but then, boom, free will. What do?
Commit crimes.
Yeah.
Apparently. If it's not Dweller, I mean, the other option would have been maybe, who am I thinking of? Oh, Darkness.
Yeah,
Oh,
Darkness would have been good.
'Cause
Darkness
then
would have been an
it makes a
interesting
little more
character.
sense.
Because think about it, he's always hovering over the Shadow One, like, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you.
Which who told him to do
That
that?
seems to
Why is
create a
why is
bit of
he
a toxic work environment. I don't think.
I mean, yes, he's always been told
Wait,
he was
you-
assigned to supervise the Shadow One, but he probably would have already done it anyway.
I know, but like his whole thing is like, yeah, when then I take your place because nobody else is going to do that for you because he volunteered.
Okay, who else could it be? Oh, it could be someone who that we thought was dead. So someone like Ihu, of like, oh
Yeah.
no. Actually, that's a dumb
Yeah.
one. Strike that
Nose,
from the record.
Mr. Nose.
Mr. Nose.
Sorry.
Hey, speaking of Dark Hunters, I just found one Dark Hunter. His name is Shadow Stealer. He was a member of the Hand of Artaka before, which was the predecessor to the Order of Matanui.
There you go.
Ooh, that would have been an interesting character.
Old enough to know what's going on. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
After the Hand of Artaka disbanded, he joined the Dark Hunters in order to find a sense of purpose. Ooh.
What's to say that was just the cover story, so you can just keep tabs on them?
And in fact, his first mission took place somewhere far from Odina. His task should have taken many years to complete. He finished it in mere days.
Dun dun dun.
I mean, that is. And powers include shadow absorption and teleportation via shadows. I mean, I'm seeing great being material right there.
I don't know. Sounds a lot like what's his face? The guy in G2. His name.
Oh, Umarak?
Yeah, that guy.
God, he was cool.
Okay, real talk. Umarak, probably one of the best parts of G2.
He
Hands
should
down.
have been the secret great being.
Pretty good voice actor, too. I liked him.
That would have been great. We have to wait a whole 5 years and he's in continuity, but he's a great man.
We'll just have to put a bow tie in there and figure out how to tie the two together. But yeah,
I mean, that's one of the better theories, honestly. There were some pretty
Right.
crappy ones.
you know, can I just go ahead and say, I mean, I know that this was a character created for the Dark Hunter building contest, and that's fine. But can we officially replace Shadow Stealer with Umarak in the first place? Like, I'm okay with doing that for a day.
Yeah, I second that.
Great April Fool's joke.
There we go.
All those people who go to both those pages, they won't know what hit them.
On the same day, no less. They have to read both those pages on the same day.
On the same day.
Hey, wait a minute.
Hey, why are the staff vandalizing their own website?
First person who goes to both the Umarak and Shadow Stealer pages gets free set, I guess.
I guess.
Like, what free set are we going to give?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Let's just give
April
them,
Fools, there was no free set.
No!
a 2x4 red brick. That's all we need to give.
No, we'll just give them a 2x4.
Perfect.
I will go to the local hardware store as soon as we're allowed to, and I will pick up a 2x4. 3 days after we're supposed to be out. Just in case. Anyway. Is there any other good candidates for Great Being potential?
Well, before I forget, I want to know what your thoughts are on if this was intentional. Because if you look up the translation for Velika, it translates. Oh no, I should have looked this up before I started this conversation. It's Slovenian. It's Slovenian for the word great. So did that factor into Greg's decision? Because obviously the character in its inception was not meant to be a secret great being, we assume.
We have to assume that it wasn't
No.
intended, no.
That was
But-
that would be some 4D chess that I can't even do right now.
Oh yeah, I couldn't even begin to do that 4D chess in my head. Chess.
But yeah, no. So yeah, it did. The fact that his name was Greg aware of that and did that factor in decision? It might have.
It only if Greg knew where the source it had come from, and only
Yeah.
if
How would Greg have been aware of that? Do any of the other Voya Nui Matoran's names translate to anything, especially in Slovenia?
Okay, well let's find out.
well, that's might as well. What are we going to do with time?
Okay,
We've got so much time.
I searched Balta on Google Translate. It's Lithuanian for white.
Huh.
Huh.
Maybe he's like misnamed. Maybe he was supposed to be whatever the white one is.
Oh, Delu?
Kazi.
Kazi.
There you go.
Okay, Kazi is
See, I know
Swahili for
Bionicle.
work.
Sorry, say that again, Casey.
So Kazi is Swahili for work.
Work. Sorry.
Just work as in a task. The work, a noun. Yeah.
I suppose that does work for him? Question mark? I mean, what is his main role at that point? Let's see here.
To be annoyed by
Ideologist?
Malika.
Idealist. That's what he calls himself. An idealist.
Okay,
I
well,
love
maybe
his
it's all
description.
connected here. Because if you look up,
I love the abilities and traits on Kazi. I'd have to read this. He despised Voyanui and was very pessimistic until a hurricane struck the island, at which point he started to look on the bright side of things.
Oh yeah, that was one of those stories.
Yeah, that was hope.
Another topic for another time. Sorry, Spirit, continue.
Oh, we'll
Okay,
go
so-
after yours first.
Piruk is Malay for either puck or, if we take the phrase Hiruk Piruk, that translates to hustle and bustle. So like busyness, work.
Okay.
That actually does
That fits
work
him.
that does work for Piruk.
Mhm.
I mean, if I recall, he
But did you say
was
the other-
spy.
You said the other name was Puck, like Puck the
Like a
Fairy, or
hockey
Puck like a
puck?
hockey puck? Okay.
I think. It just says puck. I don't know.
Yeah. Small disc thing.
So what I'm getting at is Piruk was absolutely a Canadian.
Yep.
Well,
That
yeah,
works.
remember, puck is also another word for disc. And what do Matoran throw?
Ooh, it's all connected.
Okay.
So either way, Valika, ultimately, I'm not a big fan of the Great Being in the Matoran universe in the first place. I never liked that idea. And we have definitely showed there's a lot of good candidates, but I don't know.
Well, somebody get working on that time machine and go change the past.
Right. All right, so should we wrap up, or is there any other thoughts we can bring to the table?
We still need to do a couple more translations.
Okay.
If we have time for that.
Oh, we've got time.
Okay.
got
Let's see.
nothing
I
but
searched.
time.
Okay, I searched Garan, whatever.
Garen?
It's Garen. Okay, Garen. It's Basque for we are. Just we are.
Huh.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Maybe this spells out a sentence in multiple different languages.
Yes.
We are Puck
Great
work.
workers. Dun,
Great
dun,
puck
dun.
work.
Great puck workers.
We are number one.
And let's see what else we have. Dalu. Let's see.
Yeah, it's the last one.
I don't know. It doesn't say. Not an easy word to translate.
It's Tagalog for night.
Okay.
Okay, we'll go with that.
So we are
Also
great night
Welsh
workers.
Wait,
Puck.
Welsh for what?
Pay.
Pay.
And Dalu is supposed to be the warrior, so...
Like night, like as in nighttime, as in the opposite of day, not.
Oh.
Well, I can't.
I don't think
of
that really
anything.
fits. So what we're getting at is a lot of Bionicle names tend to also work in other languages, but that's mostly by coincidence.
Oh, it's also Tamil
Or is
for something I can't read. Okay, this is not a very
Well,
good website.
I was about to say there's only 26 letters in at least the American English alphabet. So combining words together, I mean, it's bound to cross over with somebody else's. I don't know.
It might also just be a coincidence. In which case, that's a very surprising coincidence. Well, I mean, like the whole Valika meaning great, like that
Right.
might just be a very, very weird coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
I do have to wonder out loud. What if Alika had died? Would his consciousness been transferred to the Red Star?
Oh,
Didn't somebody ask that?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
Hang on.
is it on the page?
Let's look on the Red Star page. Let me look under trivia.
Despite being in a Matoran body, Valika could not be revived in the Red Star as it was not equipped with the technology to transfer non-artificial consciousness to a new body.
Ah, there you go.
All right. Well, that rules out any potential dead characters as being the Great Being, that's
so
for sure.
how did he get his consciousness into the body of a Matoran in the first place? And if he died there, then why wouldn't he have made it so that he could get backed up on the Red Star? None of this adds up, man.
Right. Oh, by the way, also to end the episode, I want to say, after the reveal that a known Matoran universe resident was actually a Great Being in disguise, Greg Farshey held a contest on PC Power for fans to guess the identity of the Great Being. Popular candidates included Helrix and Kapura.
Helrix.
Yeah,
We never
I thought about
Helrix.
Helrix. I thought about her. I don't know.
That seems like a very boring answer.
Boring,
This
very
character
boring,
that you never
very-
see front and center. Oh, surprise! They had a secret identity.
You really thought I was Helrix, but indeed I am the Great Being.
It was me, Dio.
Right.
Oh no, Dioda!
Well, I mean, like she doesn't show up for the majority of the story, and is busy leading a secret organization. So I kind of get it, but yeah, no, it's too much. Like I do kind of like the fact that it was a Matoran. Like it's nice and low key enough.
It is also interesting that Velika would have tried to recruit the Element Lords as lieutenants to rule their tribes in his name. Like, all the potential of a future story, and I'm thinking to myself, I think Bionicle died at the right time.
Yeah, like I appreciate Greg coming up with this very something story.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know where you're going to go with that.
We'll put in another word there later.
Yeah.
But a very elaborate story. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes things just need to be over.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
true.
classic saying, you die a hero or live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah.
Well, in Velika's case, you die, I don't know, whatever you die of, or live long enough to become the dictator. Anyway.
Well, like maybe we'll discuss that very briefly before the end. Of like, what do you
Perhaps.
think about the plausibility of him just becoming this mass murderer after surviving all of Bionicle? Of like, okay, well that was an adventure. Now let's just murder everyone.
Well, our 55 minutes have just ended, so we'll have to start wrapping up here.
Okay.
Let's wrap up on that question.
So you're saying like kind of what caused him to become this mass murdering guy after everything he's seen?
Or like, how plausible is that?
Well, I mean, he had to wait for Matanui to finish the mission, right? Because otherwise, then he's dead
Right.
along with everybody else.
Right. It does say here, during his time as a Matoran, he had concluded that the destruction of the planet was due to poor leadership of the Great Beings. So he devised a plan to seize control of Spirus Magna for himself. Part of that would involve killing the powerful Matoran universe inhabitants acting outside of their parameters, who might object to this rule. So he defeated Lesovic, stole the air sword, and then he killed Tarzani, and extracted Trenkron from his prison, and then murdered him in Bota Magna. I wonder if he used the dinosaurs.
Oh yeah, the robot.
That's a
dinosaurs.
discussion for another day.
Oh, the poor robot dinosaurs.
We hardly knew
Velika then
you.
killed both in gruesome ways to inspire fear among the population, which he planned to use to ensure his acceptance as a ruler.
I mean, it's not a great plan, but then again, like most world domination plans aren't that great, so I'm willing to let it slide.
Apparently, due to his alliance with Kabrua, he knew of the Voroks on Bota Magna, so he planned to use them as shock troops.
Yeah, I just don't know.
After the final battle, I think Bionicle was starting to really work on fumes. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I think there was
like
potential. I think it would have been fine, but would it have been Bionicle? I don't know.
I think the hard part is that he was trying to set up like a second final battle. And I
Right.
don't think that's what people wanted. They wanted answers to questions, stop introducing new stuff,
Right.
resolve all the
I think they wanted closure.
closure. That's all people want.
I mean, they set it up with such a beautiful ending with Matanui leaving the Spherus Magna new inhabitants, all of them, to start building a new world for themselves. This is the way of Bionicle. End of story. You didn't need a second like dictator tyrant coming up, gathering an army and saying, "Okay, my turn."
Also, why did it have to be a stone character? We already had evil Akmu. Now we've got evil Valika.
Okay, that is indeed another topic right there.
All right.
Characters going bad. That does sound like a good topic.
I mean,
actually,
because then we also had the rock characters going bad on Farah Magna.
Oh yeah. Oh, this is definitely for another podcast.
Absolutely.
Here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then the Scorpions and. Anyway,
well, I guess that about wraps that up then.
That definitely wraps it up. So thanks everybody for listening in on our first podcast. I'm Swert, and with me were
Dorek,
KZN02,
and Spirit.
All right, and I don't know where we're going to be following. I mean, follow our Twitter, follow our Facebook.
Click like and subscribe. Where are we even putting this?
I think we're putting it on YouTube. We're definitely putting it on the website to download.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to be able to put it anywhere yet. Yes, and of course, smash the bell with a hammer. In fact, just get it off my screen. I don't actually like the bell. I hate the bell. But for some reason, people like the bell. But if you like the bell, then feel free to just, hit it. Just click it once. No. If you click it, don't click it again, because then you unclicked it. You unclicked it already. Please click it again. Thank you. All right.
We can cut all of this outro.
Oh, yeah. There will be some cutting.
There's going to be some cutting down. That's for sure. All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.